Hello, bonjour. My name is Paulo de Castro Reis, and I'm the Executive Director of CCBC. Welcome to the first Brazilian Week CCBC Online Festival, a digital event organized by the Chamber of Commerce Brasil-Canada, also known as CCBC, in partnership with the Brazilian Embassy in Ottawa, the consulates in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, and sponsored by Air Canada. This festival presents more than 20 webinars covering three main content areas: business opportunities, innovation, and Brazilian culture. Besides, the Brazilian Week website offers free access to more than 200 cultural contents. Now we're going to talk about Brazilian destinations through Canadian eyes. And I would like to start this session, calling Sandra Passetto, sales representative of Air Canada, to moderate this session. Welcome, Sandra. It's nice to have you here with us. Mute.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you again.
Okay.
Thank you, Paulo.
Okay, enjoy yourself. You have very nice guests, and we are very excited to hear what you and them have to say.
Okay, can I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. Boa noite a todos. Good evening, everyone. Bon après-midi à tous. I'd like to start by welcoming you all here today, and a special thank you to Chamber of Commerce Brazil-Canada for the opportunity to celebrate together Brazilian Week. Before I start to talk about Brazil, I'd like to share with you some news from Air Canada. Last week, Air Canada celebrated 8th anniversary and 33 years of non-stop service connecting Brazil-Canada. We are very excited because on September 1st, we resumed our Toronto-São Paulo service operating 3 times weekly. Thanks to Air Canada's Clean Care Plus, our industry-leading program, our customers can fly with confidence due to health and safety protocols. Please visit our website, aircanada.com, to learn more about Air Canada's commitment to health and safety of our customers and employees. Now it's time to talk about this wide and marvelous country, Brazil. I have a map. Let me see. Okay. So Brazil is fifth largest country in the world with a population of 211 million inhabitants. We have much more in common than you can imagine. Just like Canada, Brazil offers many different destinations and experience in one country. Our culture diversity is reflected in every aspect, from gastronomy to music to way of life, beyond amazing nature and landscapes. The people are one of the biggest assets of the country, receptive and friendly. That's why we are here with 2 Canadian friends who lived in Brazil for a long time, and they will share their experiences with us. Let's start our chat with Stéphane, talking about 3 states, São Paulo, Santa Catarina, and Rio Grande do Sul. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Stéphane. How are you today?
Thank you, Sandra. I'm doing very well. I'm here in Ottawa. It's a gray and rainy day here. So I miss the Brazilian sun today.
Yeah, we know you lived here for a long time. We were our General Consul, Canadian Consul in Brazil. Right. And welcome, and it's a pleasure, this opportunity to talk to you about, let's start about São Paulo. São Paulo, you know, is the financial and cultural heart of Brazil. What do you recommend for a first-time visitor to São Paulo?
Yeah, just a little bit of background. I was in São Paulo as Consul-General for over 6 years. And before that, from 2001 and 2004, I was responsible for the visa section. So I spent more than 9 years of my diplomatic career in Sao Paulo. So it's kind of a second home for me, Sao Paulo. The first thing I would suggest, I would recommend to people who arrive in Sao Paulo for the first time, it's not to get too scared about the size of the city. I remember the first time that I landed in Sao Paulo, when I saw the size of the city, I says, "My God, what is this? It's a sea of buildings," and it's quite different actually from other cities in the world. For example, when you arrive in Toronto, Rio de Janeiro, or Montreal, and Ottawa, you can already tell where the center of the city is. In Sao Paulo, it's very difficult because it's kind of a city who has many centers in a way. So I right away, I'm going to tell you I'm very biased about Sao Paulo. It's as I mentioned, it's a second home for me. So I'll be very biased in describing Sao Paulo and how great a city it is. So when you arrive, I think the first thing that people have to do before they arrive in Sao Paulo is to do a little bit of research. It's a huge city. It has a lot of traffic. So the thing that if you're not really well prepared in advance of what you want to see or what you want to experience, there's a chance you might be losing a lot of time in traffic. Do a bit of homework before going to Sao Paulo. So two things. First of all, the cultural scene in Sao Paulo is incredible. I think it has some of the best museums in the world. I'm thinking about the Museum of Art of Sao Paulo on the Avenida Paulista, the Pinacoteca. You have the Museum, of course, of Football that a lot of foreigners, when they arrive, they want to visit. There's the Museum of Modern Art also. That's wonderful. So there's a lot of places if you an art lover to visit in Sao Paulo. So I would do a little list of places to visit in terms of museums. I mean, depending on how much time you're going to spend in Sao Paulo, I think you can do, easily 5 or 6 museums, let's say, in the space of a week.
How long time do you believe that is good? The visitors stay here to can visit the main things, the main places.
I was going to say 6 years, but I don't think people will have the time to spend 6 years in Sao Paulo. But I'm kind of half joking because I left after 6 years and a half as Consul-General. And there was still a lot of things that I wanted to do and wanted to visit. I think if you want to see Sao Paulo, listen, you're probably going to, if you arrive from Canada, you're probably going to take the flight Toronto, Sao Paulo, if you're not going to take the Montreal, Rio de Janeiro, Montreal, Sao Paulo. But this is going to be your port of entry into Brazil. So give yourself at least 3 or 4 nights. And that's the minimum, okay? And you will want to come back after that. So that's the main thing. Now you see a little picture here, that's Liberdade, which is kind of the Japanese neighborhood in Sao Paulo. There's a huge Japanese community. And I choose that picture because it's the next thing I want to talk about, which is the food. I think Sao Paulo, along with probably Lima, Peru, has the best restaurants in South America. There's no debate about that. And one of the reasons for this is because there's a lot of various communities that are well established in Sao Paulo. It has one of the largest Italian community in the world. There's more Italian living in Sao Paulo than there's Italians living in Rome, if you can believe this. I mean, so as a result of that, you're probably going to have the best pizza you will ever eat in your life, okay? So it's made the traditional way, it's excellent, and it is very, very good food from Italian origin that you will find in Sao Paulo.
I'd like to ask you, if with so many delicious choices, what's your #1 choices?
Well, if you're coming from Canada and you arrive in Sao Paulo, I mean, pizza doesn't come at the top of your mind. I mean, you have to prioritize, but reserve yourself a nice evening to eat a good pizza. But two things that you would want to eat in Sao Paulo. First of all, the feijoada that's served typically on the Wednesday
So
and the Saturday, and also find yourself a good churrasqueira. So you would want to go to a good, nice churrasqueira and eat meat the Brazilian way, which serve at the table nonstop. So these probably are the two things that typical Brazilian food that you will want to experience in Sao Paulo. After that, walk in like in Liberdade, a fascinating neighborhood. Find yourself also other areas that you can explore, because Sao Paulo is a collection of neighborhoods, okay, that you need really to take your time and walk around to discover the various shops and the restaurants.
Fantastic. So you told us about the culture, the gastronomy, about your experience in terms of no traditional routes through the city of São Paulo. What tips would you give to a visitor?
Okay, there's a picture now on the screen. That's the Mercadão, famous Mercadão, and this is a mix of food and culture. And of course, we're talking about typical food. There's great mortadella sandwich that's served at the Mercadão that people also need to experience. So I was mentioning the Museum of Pinacoteca, which is not too far. So a little tip for people who want to explore Sao Paulo: try to find sites to visit close to each other, so you don't lose sometimes. Now, the Mercadão is relatively close to what I would say the old centro de Sao Paulo. Now, you were asking me about out of the way things to do. Of course, the center is not out of the way, but Sao Paulo has guided tours that's given by young people who are really experts on Sao Paulo and its history. And it's really, really interesting to hear the history of Sao Paulo, the history of the buildings. They're going to take you in front of the Teatro Municipal, which is gorgeous, and give you a little bit of the history of Sao Paulo. We didn't talk about music. That's Sala Sao Paulo. That's also very close to the Pinacoteca. So before you arrive to Sao Paulo, just check if there's some concert that takes place. The Sala Sao Paulo was elected not too long ago one of the 10 best theater for classical music in the world. I was talking to one of our great Canadian pianists, Angela Hewitt, who performed at Sala Sao Paulo about 5 years ago, and she really enjoyed playing in the Sala Sao Paulo because of the quality of the acoustic. Now, a little bit out of the way of Sao Paulo, there's a little town called Embus dos Artes, and it's a small town that's at about maybe not even 30, maybe 10-15 kilometers from Sao Paulo, and it's relatively close. You do this on a day, like for example, Sunday is perfect. You can reserve a taxi and book a driver. If you're staying in an hotel, will take you there. And it's full of artisans. There's beautiful the Brazilian art that's for sale over there, and it's a really, really nice way to spend a day outside of Sao Paulo. Of course, also if you want to get away a little bit of the buildings and the traffic and the concrete, there's the beautiful park Ibirapuera, where I was living maybe 3 blocks from, which is really close to my heart. There's a great zoological park. So, pace yourself, reserve yourself 2 or 3 hours to work in the park and do some people watching, and you will really enjoy Sao Paulo that way.
You can enjoy not just city, but around the city also.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you have beautiful beaches there,
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, the interesting thing about Sao Paulo, it's not too far from the coastline, so you can leave early in the morning and come back in the late afternoon, early evening. A suggestion: try to do this during the week, because during the weekends the traffic is a little bit heavy. Paulistan would like to go to the beach for the day during the weekend.
Excellent tip. Great. So, and south of Brazil, Santa Catarina and Rio Grande do Sul are two incredible states, and I know you love these places too.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, this region has impressive attractions in addition to landscapes to enchant and surprise many visitors. In your opinion, what are the highlights of Santa Catarina?
Well, obviously people go to Florianopolis and will stay on the island of Santa Catarina. I mean, we don't have too much time, unfortunately, because I would have loved to talk a little bit about the state of Santa Catarina a little bit more.
You need to come back.
That's right. But Florianopolis is a beautiful little city, but little city by Brazilian standard. But the island is just fantastic. So this is a beach, a picture of a beach that's on the southern tip of the island. This beach is called Campeche. And I choose that picture because the beach it's actually like that during the week. I mean, it's beautiful. During the winter time, the water is a little bit colder. Okay, so if you want to enjoy the water, it's maybe better to choose during the summer months. But you can still, if you want to do some surf with a wetsuit, you're going to be fine. So Campeche is a little bit more quiet. It's on the southern part of the island, which is a little bit quieter. So what I would suggest to people, there's very, very few hotels outside the city of Florianopolis. So, but there's very, very good apartments for rent for short period of time. So if you look on some website, you can find some very nice apartments for rent. So you're going to be there on the island of Campeche. It's going to be very quiet. So what I would suggest is that to rent a car, so that will allow you to visit the island, and you can travel to the northern part of the island and come back easily in a matter of a few maybe 40 minutes, 50 minutes. So it's relatively easy to travel around the island. So that's a quiet place if you want to have a nice place to stay. That's going just to listen to the waves. Of course, if you want to have a little bit more exciting, you can stay in the city of Florianopolis itself, which is also very, very, very nice. So Florianopolis, if you want to take a break, if you want to enjoy the beach, and if you want to eat some of the best oysters in the world, you can go to, I would recommend Santa Catarina. So that's a little bit of the old part of the city of Florianopolis. It's very, very charming. Old colonial buildings. It has a very nice history. A very large Portuguese community in Santa Catarina, actually, who's coming from the Azores. So you will eat a lot of food that has a kind of a Portuguese roots. Okay, so yes. And I'm going to do a little bit of, can I do a little bit of advertising here? So if you go into the northern part of the island, there's a beach that's called Praia do Norte. And I have a friend, very good friend of mine, who has an oyster farm there. And they're just wonderful oysters. And he sells them at his restaurant in Sao Paulo. So it's a very famous restaurant, and its name is, I'll say it, Amadeus. So free publicity for my friends. And I tell you. But the quality of the oysters are excellent. So, and you can find some very, very good seafood restaurants also throughout the island of Florianopolis. So that's the old market. It's not very big, but it's very charming. So if you go to Florianopolis, take a stroll in the old part of the city. It's quite nice, and this is kind of the mini version of the Mercadão in Florianopolis.
Oh, fantastic! Good tips. Going down a little further, we have Rio Grande do Sul, a state with a strong European influence and many unique attractions. Yes. Tell us your favorite points of interest.
Well, so when you arrive in Rio Grande do Sul, you probably will arrive in Porto Alegre, which is a very nice city. I have some very good friends there, but probably what you will want to do.
So many churrascarias. You can find so many churrascarias there.
So they're very serious about their beef in Rio Grande do Sul.
Yeah, and also very serious.
and also their famous tea, the mate, that they drink all the time. So what I would suggest is that you can spend a day or two in Porto Alegre, but rent a car and drive up to the north of the state of Rio Grande do Sul. And there's this beautiful little city called Gramado, which is famous for many reasons, but the main reason is that it's had a very famous film festival that takes place in August. In 2017, we had the pleasure, the ambassador and I, to go to Gramado because Canada was the country that was being honored during the film festival. So it's very, as you can tell by the architecture, it's very, you can tell that it has a very strong European influence. A lot of German people have established themselves there, a lot of people from Eastern Europe, and of course, a lot of Italians. And why do I say the Italians is that go to Gramado first, okay, which is close to the border with the Santa Catarina, and then you drive your way down south to go back to Porto Alegre, and then you stop in the wine region, okay. So the wine in Rio Grande do Sul is getting better every year. Their sparkling wine is excellent. It's world renowned. Their red wine and their white wine also are getting very, very, very good. So there's hotels that you can stay. There's pousadas that you can stay. And I tell you, Sandra, the first time I was there, I woke up one morning. I opened the window of my hotel room, and I thought that I was in Tuscany. The scenery was exactly as you remembered it when I was traveling to Italy. Very similar, very, very similar. And of course, with the wine, you will have excellent cheese, and also excellent cold cuts and various type of foods. It's not a if you're planning to go on a diet, don't go to Rio Grande do Sul.
No, never. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. It's amazing. And the cities are so clean. Yeah.
Yes.
Very clean.
Very, very clean. The roads are excellent. Just be careful sometimes. What I found driving in that region is that you can cut a little bit of fog because when it rains, the roads, you can be cutting a bit of a fog. So just be a little bit careful about that. So once you've traveled to the region of Caxias do Sul, Bento Gonçalves, these are the area, the wine region of Rio Grande do Sul, and then you can make a little detour in. So these are the wine region.
Beautiful.
It's just gorgeous. And then once you have visited your wine region, that you've bought the limit of bottles that you can bring back to Canada, do a little detour. And there's a beautiful, beautiful area. It's fantastic, and it's an area that has those beautiful canyons that you can visit. And there's the next picture of that. Isn't that gorgeous?
Marvelous.
When people think about
that.
When people think about Brazil, the first thing that comes to their mind are the beaches, and rightly so. But when you have
Itaimbezinho,
that's right. It's gorgeous. And then you make your way back to Rio Grande do Sul, and again, I could talk about a lot more about Rio Grande do Sul. I could talk a lot more about Santa Catarina, and I could talk for hours about Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give a little bit of the highlights. And again, I think the best recommendation, the best tip I can give people, it's because, as you mentioned, Brazil is such a big country that you really have to prepare your itinerary. You cannot go to Brazil, especially when you arrive in Sao Paulo, and start improvising your visit. Because unfortunately, you might find yourself losing a lot of time trying to find your way around, etc. Talk to if you're staying into a hotel, talk to the hotel. If you're staying into a small apartment, talk to the owner of the apartment, who's going to be more than happy to give you information of what to do and what's close by.
It's very important to improve, to prepare. No spend lost time.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I said in Rio Grande do Sul, I recommend to rent a car. Same thing in Santa Catarina and Florianopolis. In Sao Paulo, I don't think that's really necessary unless you want to go to Embu das Artes. There's excellent taxi service. It's not expensive. Uber is everywhere. There's a great metro system now. So
Yeah, it's worked very well.
In terms of the city of Sao Paulo itself, to rent an apartment is not really necessary.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And it's so good to tell about this, because Air Canada has agreement with the domestic flights. So Canadian passengers can fly from any city in Canada to visit all cities in Brazil, because you have excellent connections with a good prices, good rates. So you can get take a ticket, Ottawa, Florianopolis, Ottawa, Porto Alegre, or of course São Paulo.
Yes.
Oh. Thank you, Stéphane. Nice to see you again. Okay, thank you very much, so much for sharing your experience with these amazing places with us. It was a pleasure to see you again. Yeah, have a good time. Have a good week. Thank you. Bye-bye. So now I'd like to welcome François, who will tell us about other exciting destinations in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, Salvador, and Foz do Iguaçu. Bienvenue, François. Ça va? Comment ça va? Très bien?
Oui, ça va bien, madame. La température est un peu comme chez nous, on est au nord de Montréal, alors la température n'est pas belle non plus, alors beaucoup de pluie actuellement. Lots of rain at this time of the year.
Oh, okay.
So I'm missing Brazil. I've been there only once this year, and I'm missing Brazil very much.
Yes, I know. You know, I will tell you, I'm a little jealous of you, because you know Brazil much better than me.
I've been
How long do you live here? How long did you live here?
I've been working in Brazil since 1989, so that's 31 years.
Wow.
Made project and visited big cities and the interior of the 16 or 17 states. So I'm quite familiar with Brazil, with its size also.
Yeah,
and
excellent.
the beauties and the food and everything.
Yeah, good. So let's start with talking. You know that Rio de Janeiro has world-renowned tourist spots such as Corcovado, Pão de Açúcar, Lagoa Rodrigo de Freitas, Lapa, the beaches of Ipanema and Copacabana, among others. Of these, which ones would be your top choices and why?
My top choice, of course, is Rio. One thing that I would like, that's why I put the map of Brazil first.
Okay.
For Canadian, it's important to imagine that Brazil, it's like Canada turned 90 degrees. And traveling from south to north of Brazil is the same as traveling from Halifax to Vancouver. It's a 4.5 to 5 hour flight. So, as Stéphane said, that the destination must be carefully chosen, and the people who want to make a tour of the 7 biggest cities of Brazil in 7 days, it's impossible. So
yeah,
that's
it's impossible
to take care of. So that is some preparation is very important. Okay, let's start.
Okay.
Rio is the wonderful city. It's probably the most beautiful city of the world, the most fantastic, the most easy living city. We lived there from 93 to 97. We even went to the carnival. We danced with the guy. We've been in the looking at the carnival for a few years. Then in 96, we decided to go and dance the samba in the samba drone. So we've experienced quite a bit of Rio.
Yeah.
Okay, you may change the slides now.
Yes, you can. Please feel free.
That I took myself a few years ago. we know the point of view from on the Sugarloaf, from the Corcovado Mountain, but this point of view from, they call it Mirante de Dona Marta. It's probably the best view of Rio all over. This is my favorite.
Beautiful.
When we lived in Rio, we had a penthouse apartment in Botafogo, and from our room in our bedroom, we had the view on the Sugarloaf. That was wonderful.
Wonderful view.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Of course, lots of traffic also, like Rio. It's like Sao Paulo. Rio is a great thing. The musty while you're in Rio, okay? Of course, Corcovado is the mountain, and the statue is the Christ Redemptor. And I strongly recommend that to go in the morning because it's a bit cooler, and also for the orientation of the sun that goes in front of the statue. So this is very important. And what I do usually, either alone or with clients or friends, then there is a little train that goes up the mountain. So I take a cab with the driver. He leaves us at the bottom of the mountain. We go up in the mountain in the train, and then the taxi picks us up at the top of the mountain, and then he goes down through the forest, the forest of Tijuca, which is a very nice forest. And in the middle, we stop at that point of view of Dona Marta.
Beautiful.
The Pão de Açúcar. Okay, it's recommended at the end of the day because I've seen a wonderful sunset over Rio. It's wonderful to see the sunset. So if you relax during the day, make some other visit, and then at the end of the day, maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5, depend on the season.
You always can see a beautiful sunset.
It's very interesting, and you have it's marvelous. The old district center also, Cinelandia, where you have the municipal theater, which is made on the model of Paris Opera, the churches, the monasteries, the museums, the Federal Library, the National Library. In the older center, you have the Paço Imperial, the Imperial Palace of the King of Spain, King of Portugal that was there. You have also another monastery of San Bento. It's very, very impressive.
Very impressive, yeah.
Of course, if you want to samba, to get to samba, I do. Or to dance within the samba, it needs a reservation of at least 2 years, okay? And lots of preparation, and it's expensive.
But you can get classes, yeah.
And somebody that loves football or soccer, a game at the Maracanã Stadium when you can have between 60 to 100,000 spectators. This is really impressive. The environment is very, very impressive. So that's
it's a Brazilian passion, you know.
Indeed.
Yeah, football and carnival.
Food like Brazil, São Paulo, Rio, and Curitiba, another city where I have an office. It's our capital for gastronomy. Okay,
so rich in different.
Italian food, Japanese food. This is wonderful in Rio. Okay.
Yeah.
Next slides, please. Okay. The beaches. We hear a lot of the beaches of Rio. The famous one, Copacabana, Ipanema. The girl from Ipanema. There's a restaurant in Ipanema. It's Garota de Ipanema, the girl from Ipanema.
Ah, Garota de Ipanema.
This is a place where I like to go when they have all things from Tom Jobim. This is very interesting. And these are interesting to see. You have to be careful of course. What I recommend in those beaches is that you go to one of the boats you find there, and you rent a chair, you rent a parasol, and the guy will supply you with chips, with beer, and take care of your things. He's responsible for you, and nothing will be stolen because somebody is guarding your things.
Mm-hmm.
But when I lived in Rio, I preferred more quiet beaches.
No so crowded.
Bahia Vermelha is very safe because it's in military district. So there's a lot of police, and it's, I would say, 99.9% safe. Aquador is very interesting also because it's on a rock, near a rock between Copacabana and Ipanema. It's a small beach, but very nice to see. And a big beach that is for higher class, if I can say, is they call it Praia do Pepino in the district of San Corando. It's near also the, I don't remember the name of the mountain there, when a lot of people will drop in parachute. This is very interesting.
Yeah, great. So let's talk now about the adorable Bahia. Yeah, Bahia is so gorgeous, rich in cultural colors and flavors.
And, Salvador, the capital of the state of Bahia, was the first capital of Brazil.
Yes.
So there is a lot of history there. It's also, since there has been a lot of slaves, that has been a major port of entry for slaves at the time. It's the I would say it's the art of the Brazilian, African Brazilian culture.
African Brazil.
And you see in the picture the municipality, the
market.
Market. And if you look, if you go there to visit, it's very interesting for the food, the art, and there is a way, there is a stair that goes downstairs, and you can visit a place where there were some slaves were bring in contraband, okay, not to have to pay the taxes to the King of Portugal. So this is quite interesting. Also, from that point of view, you have all the government buildings, and which are very interesting. But the major part of the most interesting part is the old Salvador. All the churches. Some churches were very, very, very rich.
Of culture.
Something interesting, whether in Rio, Sao Paulo, or Salvador, in comparison with if we compare the religion from Canada and Brazil. In Canada, the Benedictines and the Franciscans are the poor guys. In Brazil, they are the rich guys, the rich communities. And one of the church, I think it's San Francisco, it had, I think it's 400 kilos of golden sheet.
Gold.
All around the walls. They had to remove it to 2 meters and just put paint, because people were coming in and scratching it to take the gold. But that was very, Salvador is a very, very lovely city.
And the food is so good.
So different, but we need
So
to.
different and so delicious.
And
Yeah, you need to prepare because it's strong. It's spice.
It's the only place in Brazil probably when you got very spicy food. And when you arrive there, you have to be careful, especially if there is a kind of yellow in the food. It's oil of a dandy palm tree.
Óleo de dendê, yeah.
Get used to it and take it too much, it might be a danger for your health.
But acarajé, it's so good. I believe you need to try. Yeah, it's so different. It's so special.
Lots of seafood. And
Yeah.
Next slide, please.
Okay, now let's travel to Brazil to talk about the famous. Okay, if you like to talk about the, talk about the Olodum,
Something that is a must when you have to when you go to Salvador is a dinner show. It's probably the best show of typical dances, and talking about the African gods. They call Orisha. They have a wonderful show, wonderful dinner. They call the place Solado Union. It's impressive, great food and great show. This is one of the best show in Brazil. Yes. And also Salvador is the home of the famously group Olodum, the drum group. If you have a chance to go to see one of their show, last time I've been there, we went not to a show, but with a practice that's more intimate. But it goes through the bone. You almost fall in trance hearing that music.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I believe it happened. The shows happens every Tuesday or Thursday, but every time you can enjoy the music is from the Olodum groups, and there are a lot of other groups about this kind of music.
And we can talk also about the Brazilian martial art, the capoeira. Capoeira.
Yeah, it's so regional from there. Yeah.
And acrobatic dance at the same time, and this is very impressive also, with a very special music with the drum and an instrument they call berimbau, which has a very specific sound, one chord and metallic sound, and it's another thing to be seen while you're in Salvador.
Fantastic, you know very well, I know. So let's talk now about the Foz do Iguaçu. What can someone expect?
The former slide about Salvador.
Okay, sorry.
We had talked a little bit about Bahia, the state, but if you intend to stay more days, the beaches are located outside the city of Salvador. Salvador doesn't have real beaches. A tour in the interior, the small fairs where you can taste various tropical fruits, and also Bahia is famous for cigars.
Yeah,
we always have Bahian cigars here, cigars from Bahia here, and
so good.
From my point of view, they're better than the Cuban because they don't burn the throat. It's something that is not so well known, and you can have some very nice visit. One time, the best visit we had was at the Danneman cigar fabric. Very interesting.
Fantastic. So we can talk about Foz do Iguaçu. And what can someone expect when saying Iguaçu Falls for the first time?
A wonder.
Wonderful, huge, yeah.
This is impressive by the looks, by the smell, by the sound, by the feeling of water. It's really impressive. And I've been there.
It's unique. Yeah.
Around the world, and everybody that went there said this has been one of their best visits of the best visit of their life. It's and for Canadians, you don't go to Niagara after having visited the Falls d'Iguaçu. You go before, because which waterfalls is about 6 times the volume of water of Niagara. Okay, it's very impressive. Very impressive. And
you can enjoy by helicopters, by boats. Yeah, you have many ways to enjoy the falls.
The walking tour in Foz do Iguaçu, this is the best. And at the end, it's about 3 hours of walking to get to the end. And it's at the end, there's a very nice restaurant also. So to relax after that, have good shows. It's good for to bring some water coat. If you don't have, they sell those plastic ones. Okay, and have good shows. Have repellent also, but because we're in the forest, and this is a wonder. I've been there tens of times, and it's always like it's if it were the first time.
Why? Well, always you enjoy like a first.
Exactly. And the second great things to visit in the region of Foz do Iguaçu being the name of the city, it's the dam of hydroelectric dam of Itaipu. It's 20 turbines of 700 kilowatts. So that's 14,000 megawatts of capacity. Okay, it's the Chinese dam is a bit larger in engineering, but the Itaipu is the biggest in the energy producing. And I recommend that you take the technical tour, they call it. Then we visit inside, we go down there, we see the turbines that are enormous. Only the water, the tubing the input tubing for the turbines are about 10 meters in diameter. A bus near these tubing looks like a dwarf. It is very, very, very nice and interesting. The other place that is a must is Parque das Aves. It's a park for birds. Most of them are in semi-liberty. They are. It's important since the birds fly over you. It's important to have a cap or a hat there, not to receive. Sometimes some presents are given down by the birds.
So beautiful.
Beautiful birds. When you see those the parrots at the aras that you find there, this is another place that you spend a good 3 to 4 hours.
Yes. How long time do you believe it's nice to enjoy the city, the Foz do Iguaçu, this area?
Whether Rio or Salvador or Foz do Iguaçu, you need to spend 3 days, 3 full days.
3 full days.
Correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. If not, and some experience, you need to relax also, and you need to think about traveling time. And this is, but 3 days is what I recommend. 3 full days. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to make those 3 visits in in one trip, it's almost 2 weeks. It's
Yeah.
traveling.
And when you stay there, you can visit Argentina and Paraguay because it's
Paraguay people, I know that Brazilians love to shop in Paraguay.
yes, yeah. We love shopping in all places, but Paraguay is so close from this area.
I'm not fond of, I've been there a couple of times, and let's say that I'm not comfortable with the environment in Paraguay. This is my Canadian point of view, okay?
Uh-huh.
And
But it's interesting if you have opportunity to know, to visit.
in Argentina, there are some tours organized also in Argentina to see the falls from the Argentinian side, but the infrastructure is not as good. And the best thing, from my point of view, to see from the Argentinian side is look at the Brazilian side of the falls.
Yeah, stay in Brazil and visit maybe.
Yeah. And another, I was talking about Salvador and Salvador, but another best show, typical dance and cultural show is in Foz do Iguaçu also. They call it Rafaín Churrascaria. It's a steakhouse, but you'll have a huge buffet of everything you can imagine, sushis and pasta and
Salads.
the desserts are incredible, but you need to make a reservation very early or before your visit because it's always full. And it's I wouldn't say it's a tourist trap, but if it's a tourist trap, it's a great one. Good food, good show. Every time I go there, I spend the night at the Rafaín to have some good drinks, some good food, and a great show.
Fantastic. So to conclude, can you please give us 5 tips to Canadian tourists who are preparing to visit Brazil?
Prepared, okay, learn. Even if you make some mistakes, the Brazilian like strangers, and some people, some of my friends said that I should not enhance my Portuguese more than than actually, because not to lose what they call o charme do gringo. And they will correct you, but learning a few, say, I will say thank you, obrigado, or for a woman, obrigada, good morning, bom dia. This is, the Brazilian will be very pleased. Brazilians are highly reliable, okay? Reliable, and they like to be kindly to you. I've got so many great friends in Brazil, and the new people I meet are very, very kind. Have been always very kind to me. Another thing that's important also, whenever possible, okay, make reservation through local tourist agency, hire a local guide. It's not expensive. It will optimize your stay and visit. It will help you to understand culture visit by the conversation you will have. All those people, those reliable guides that I've hired, and I still, even if I know better some places than the guides after living so much time, they drive me, they show me, they manage to have everything safe. Okay, it will make you much safer, and it's and Brazil is not a low-cost place to visit, so it's worth spending a little more money to have to enjoy fully your trip.
Yeah. It's important because you can, especially in first time when you visit here.
Yes. especially the first time, but even after many times, I still do. Maybe I'm a bit lazy, but I still like to have somebody to rely on if anything happen. And then you have to, the three destinations, like I said before, we need 3 days each.
Yeah, okay.
So that's, for those 3 destinations, it's a good...
minimum 3 days.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe in next time you can talk about Maceió, Alagoas, and not other states you know very well.
And I've been in remote place most Brazilians don't know, São Félix do Xingu, Canaã dos Carajás, Resende, small cities, very small cities all around Brazil.
I am sure it's amazing and experience that you had here. Okay. So I'd like to say thank you again, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. And merci beaucoup, François. I don't speak French very well, but I'm trying. Thank you very much for you sharing your experiences with us and talk about our loved Brazil.
One more thing, one last thing. If ever you have some question that needed to be answered, you may give those people, the people that want to visit Brazil, so my name and my name, phone number, or email, and it'll be my pleasure to give some orientation.
Oh,
and
so kind, so kind. Thank you.
For me, this presentation, because I could about each destination, I could speak about hours about each destination and show hundreds of pictures. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Oh, I say thank you. Thank you. Paulo? Ah, okay. Paulo is coming.
Yes.
Oi, Paulo. Okay.
I'm back. Well, thank you, Sandra. Thank you. It was nice to also to see François and Stéphane. Now with the pandemic, it's been quite a long time that we haven't seen each other, but we are very good friends, and it was nice to hear some of your experiences here in Brazil. Of course, as you said, there's a lot to tell in other destinations in Brazil, and we might be having another section like that in the future with Sandra that facilitates this conversation in a very special way.
Oh, so, thank you. It was my pleasure.
So once more, thank you very much, everyone. And we still have another panel following this one. It's a panel that we're going to conduct in French about a Brazilian writer that is celebrating 100 years and is one of the best Brazilian writers, Clarice Lispector. I'd like also to remind everyone that tomorrow and the day after, we have 2 more days of the festival with 10 more webinars. So, and you can use the same link you use to watch this webinar to access the other ones. So thank you very much, and hope to see each one of you connected in our future webinars. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tchau, obrigada.